Good afternoon and welcome. I first want to talk about, before I talk about the grander scheme of things, and I can actually see how this story is going to roll in to my goal of today's episode. I want to say that just a few minutes ago, I became inspired as to what I was going to talk about today. I was outdoors. I went inside my home, and there's this little buzzing that goes on from some machine in my RV that I've never really quite figured out what the hell it is. So it was on, so that meant I couldn't do it out, do it inside. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll go grab a lawn chair and I'll sit outside, which you've seen me do that on a number of videos here, and I'll talk there. And just as I sat down, one of the neighbors started pounding a hammer. And then on top of it, this is Wednesday afternoon of the day before Thanksgiving, and the airport traffic of private planes coming into the desert here is almost nonstop, which meant that you would hear all of that in the background, plus the usual fire engines and all of those kind of things. So I decided to go inside my car and see if I could pull this off here. And I I know you're going, yeah, so what, Mark? Well, so what is the fact that this is a demonstration of that there is so much going on all the time. And I don't know that this is going to be a very long video. I know that this is a running theme of what I talk about on this channel all the time, which is grander perspective, grander scheme of things. There's more going on than meets the eye. Just on and on in that context of I have a very limited sense of what is really happening. I have my perspective, and I like to try very hard to remember that my perspective is only a perspective, and that there is more to the story that I will never understand. The entire time I'm on this planet, I will never understand. Back in 1983, 1984, I was slowly coming to the decision that I needed to no longer drink or use drugs of any kind. And one of the reasons, there were several reasons, but one of the reasons I took action in 1985 to no longer drink or use drugs was that the world, I could tell that the world was speeding up dramatically. Now, that was 36 years ago that I was making those conclusions. That would have meant I was 28, 29, and I was going, this is not going well, meaning the world, and that if I'm going to cope with the world, then I had better not be drinking and using drugs. That I had better have a clear head, because as they would say, the poop was going to hit the fan. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And my 1983, 84, 85 self could not even close to become clear about what it's like in terms of the speeding up of everything in 2020. Who would have ever thought? So my point here is that there's a lot going on. And you're going, yeah, well, Mark, we all know that. We all know that. Yes, we do all know that. And I don't think that we all know that that everything is very perspective oriented. And I am right oriented. And what I talk about on this channel, and that's what I'm inspired to talk about today, is the fact that there's so much more going on here. So much more going on that meets the eye. And when I read the paper, or when I read my Facebook feed, and read the people that some of the posts that I can still tolerate, I see this perspective that if only we do this, it'll all be okay. And I don't see it that way. What I see is obviously we have to do our best at whatever that is at the moment in time. And that's such a nebulous concept anyways, because who has the right to argue about some persons doing their best? Then again, what is also going on is that there is information that we are not getting. We personally are not getting. We are not getting all of the information necessary to make a proper conclusion. And so when newspapers write articles and just say, well, if we were doing this, it would all be fixed. And I don't believe that anymore. I used to believe it a lot. I used to believe that, well, if only we all recycled, everything would be fixed. Yeah, except for the fact that even if we do all recycle, we're still using more resources than we're giving back. So that doesn't seem like a fix to me because it's not balanced. And it seems, and just using that as the metaphor, it seems like we're trying to tweak everything so that we maintain the life that we currently maintain, but still save the planet at the same time. somehow I don't think that that's going to work. I just don't think that that's the perspective that is necessary for change. You know, I can't remember who it is. I think it's Einstein that said that the mind that got us into this situation is not the mind that's going to get us out of the situation. And so if that's the case, and I'm talking once again about broader perspective, grander scheme, we don't know all the details on how to fix it, then to me, it has to come from something much greater than us. And I think it takes time. And I think it's possible, but not necessarily going to work. And the term that I like to use is the term magic. And I have a problem with using that term because it, on some level, connotes, just a sleight of hand type experience. And that's not what I mean by it all. What I mean is that that's my definition of the mind that's going to fix things or change things or create the world or create the direction to the world that we so desire and don't have at the moment. That has to come from a mind that didn't create what's going on right now. And that's why I use the term magic, because it's coming from somewhere else. So, okay, Mark, I get all of that. So what's your point? Here's my point. If there's anything that I would like to convey to everybody who ever watches this channel, is that always remember there's more to the story. Always remember that you're not in this person's physical shoes. Always remember that there is so much more going on in this world and this universe that are influencing what's happening here to you as well as everything around you that we have no information on. We don't have that information. Now, that does not keep us from making decisions and taking action. This is not an argument for laying down and letting it all happen. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm just simply saying is there's more to the story. There is a lot more to the story. And when we get frustrated and angry, remember there's parts of the story we do not understand. So for me, one of the ways that I resolve that and make peace with myself and my life and those people that are quote unquote doing it to me is I do my morning Ho'oponopono ritual, which I've also talked about. And if you want to talk to me about it, please contact me via my website. And that's my way, and it's not the only way, of creating a sense of peace in self. Because at the end of the day, once again, that's the best we can do. Because we don't know what the hell all is going on here. And we never will. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée. À bientôt.